Okay, hello everyone. It's good to see you again. And today, my group would like to share about the assessment reading, group 6, who are Agatha, me, and Pina. And now let's get started with the first slide. Reading is needed as the basic success in educational. Why am I tell you about this? Because first, reading can gain more knowledge. Second, lots of reading can help us to master our lesson. And the third is, till now, reading lots of references. Books still the best way to gain our mastery of vocabulary, grammar, and education, and so on. So make sure that you read lots of books, yeah. And then reading can be fully understood by mastering the strategies. First is button up, the basic process such as separated words, letters, and sentences. It tells more general, and the second is top down. It's more about our understanding, comprehension of the what you have read, and the third is about formal schemata, is information and cultural experience. It's more about the daily information that you received, and then the cultural experience that you face around your environment. Okay, next slide. Okay, let's take a look at the genders of reading. First, academic writing. Second is job-related reading, and third is personal reading. First is more formal in academic writing. Is article, technical report, professional article, and etc. And job-related reading, messages, emails, applications that you use daily in your daily activity. And the third is personal reading, a document, newspaper, or magazine. Is more likely about the book that you like to read, your favorite book, such maybe it's novels or comics, something like that. Next. Okay, let's take a look at the micro skills. First is discriminate among the distinctive graphemes and orthographic patterns of English. What is actually graphemes? Graphemes is the letters, alphabet, punctuation, or another symbol. Meanwhile, orthography is the spelling or how the words be pronounced. And the second is retain chunks of language of different lengths in short-term memory, is to remember the function of each chunks in language. And the third is process writing at an efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. It's the speed or time of our writing. And the fourth is recognize a core of words and interpret words, other patterns and their significance in more detail about the point and explain the core. And then recognize grammatical words, class system, pattern rules, and elliptical forms. Is more likely about the noun, the verb, the pronoun, the grammar, and so on. And the sixth is recognize that a particular meaning may be expressed in different grammatical forms. It means that we have to master the various types of grammar forms. And the last is recognize cohesive devices in written discourse and their significance for interpretation. Is about the relatedness in sentences. Okay, next. And now let's take a look at the macro skills. Maybe the previous slide, please, Agatha. Okay, thank you. The macro skills in first is to recognize the rhetorical forms of written discourse and their significance of interpretation. Recognize the communication function of written text according to form and purpose. Third, infer context that is not explicit by using background knowledge. Fourth is from described events, ideas, and then distinguish between literal and implied meaning. Literal is the exact meaning of the reading. Meanwhile, the implied meaning is the implicit meaning. The reading can't be recognized directly. And then the sixth is the text cultural specific references and interpret them in a context of appropriate cultural schemata. And the last is develop and use a battery of reading strategies such as scanning and skimming, detecting the codes, markers, guessing the meaning of words from context, and activating schemata from the interpretation of text. Okay, next. Okay, let's take a look at the principles of reading. You can see at the first is identify your purpose in a reading text and apply spelling rules and convention for bottom-up decoding. And then use lexical analysis like we have learned in the syntax, morphology and syntax. It's suffixes, roots, suffixes, and etc. to determine reading. And the fourth is guessing at meaning of words, idioms when you are not certain about the meaning of your reading. And then guess at meaning of words, skim the text for specific information. So you can skim the text, kind of names, data, keywords, and then use silent reading techniques for rapid processing. Even everyone has their own style in reading, but in this book it tells that when we are reading for silent, we can make the processing more fastly. And then use marginal notes, outline charts, or semantic maps for understanding and retaining information, and distinguish between literal and implied meaning, as I have talked before, and capitalize on the course markers to process the relationship. And then let's take a look at the types of reading. It has four types. It's perceptive, selective, interactive, and extensive. Perceptive is more the larger of the stretch-like letters where punctuation is more general, and it's more implied by the bottom up. And then the second is selective, a very short stretch like lexical and grammatical in more specific ones, such as picture cue and task matching true or false, and it is a combination of bottom up and top down processing. And the interactive understanding, interactive is about the understanding and negotiating meaning. It's such as anecdotes, short narratives, and descriptions. And the last is extensive. Extensive means that you more focus on your reading. It's just like more than a page of reading, such as professional articles, essays, or maybe the research, something like that. So you take your reading more than a day, more than 2 days, and more than a page exactly. And next, you can see the types of reading by length, focus, and process. I will give you time. Okay, after seeing the tables, maybe the next explanation will be explained by my friend.
Okay, the next is designing assessment tasks, perspective reading. At the beginning level of reading a second language lies a set of tasks that are fundamental and basic, recognized of alphabetic symbol, capitalized and lowercase letter, punctuation, word and grapheme morpheme. Correspondences. Such tasks of perfection are often referred to as literacy tasks, imply that the learner is in the early stage of becoming literate. We have three. The first one is reading aloud, the second one is written purpose, and the third one is multiple choice. And this is the example of multiple choice. And then the next is picture choose items. Test takers are shown a picture such as the one on the next page along with a written text and are given one of a number of possible tasks to perform. For the example in this picture is picture choose word identification. Then with the same picture, the test taker might read sentence and then point to the correct part of the picture. For example, picture choose sentence identification. And then, or a true or false produce might be presented with the same picture too. For example, picture choose true or false sentences identification. For the example, test taker read, the first one is, the number one is, the pencils are under the table. If the correct answer true, you can circle true, or if the correct answer false, you can circle false. And the next is, matching can be an effective method of assessing reading at this level. With object labeled A, B, C, D, and E in the picture, the test taker read words and write the appropriate letter beside the words. For example, picture choose matching word identification. And then finally, test taker might see a word or phrase and then be directed to choose one of 4 pictures that are being described, thus requiring the test taker to transfer from the verbal to a non-verbal mode. In the following items, test taker choose the correct letter. For the example, multiple choice picture choose word identification. Test taker read rectangle, and then test taker see and choose the correct item. The test taker can circle the correct answer. If the correct answer D, the test taker can circle D. And then the next is designing assessment tasks, selective reading. Just above the rudimentary skill level of perception of letter and words is a category in which the test designer focuses on formal aspects of language, lexical, grammatical, and a few discord features. This category includes what many incorrectly think of as testing vocabulary and grammar. Lexical and grammatical aspects of language are simply the forms we use to perform all four of the skill of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Notice that in all these captures on the 4 skill, formal feature of language have become a potential focus on assessment. And then, by far the most popular method of testing a reading knowledge of vocabulary and grammar is in the multiple choice format, mainly for reason practically it's easy to administer and can be scored quickly. The most straightforward multiple choice item may have little context, but might serve as a vocabulary or grammar check. The example is multiple choice vocabulary or grammar text or grammar talks. The first one is, he is not married, he is blah blah blah. If the correct answer B, you can cross B. And then the next is, this kind of charting from one context to other in a test has become so commonplace that learners almost expect the disjointedness. Some improvement of this item is possible by providing some context with each item. For example is contextualize multiple choice vocabulary or grammar tasks. The first one is the number one is, Oscar, do you like company? And then Lucy said, no, I cannot. Blah 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 it. And if the correct answer A, you can wrong A. You can, yeah. And then the next is, a better contextualized from format is to offer a modified closed test adjusted to fit the objectiveness being assessed. In the example below, a few lines of English add to overall context. For example, multiple choice closed vocabulary or grammar text. tasks. I have lived in the United States, blah blah blah, 3 years. The answer number 21 you can found in this in here. And then to respond to item 31 correctly, the test taker needs to be able to comprehend the context of needing a larger but not an equal grammatical correct smaller suitcase, while decencies over gather authenticity through an assessment. They also add the potential problem of the test taker missing several letters if item because of an earlier comprehension error.
Okay, next is matching tasks. At this selective level of reading, the test taker's task is simply to respond correctly, which makes matching an appropriate format. There are two forms of matching tasks. The first one is vocabulary matching task, and the second one is selected response fill-in vocabulary task. In the first matching task, it's so simple, and the test takers just only to choose the definition on the right side. For example, like number 1, exhausted. They can choose C, tired, and write it down on the provided space. And then for the second format, selected response fill-in vocabulary task, to add a communicative quality to matching, the first numbered list is sometimes a set of sentences with blanks in them, as you can see for each number. And then there are also a list of words to choose from. Next slide, please. Okay, there are some advantages and disadvantages of matching tasks. The advantages are offering an alternative to traditional multiple choice or fill-in blank formats, and sometimes easier to construct than multiple choice items. For the disadvantages, the first one is become more of a puzzle-solving process than a genuine task of comprehension, and then the second one is test takers are sometimes struggle with the search for a match or the possibly among 10 and 20 different items. Next, okay, editing tasks. Editing for grammatical and rhetorical errors is a widely used task method for assessing linguistic competence in reading. For example, like TOEFL test. It not only focuses on grammar, it also introduces a simulation of the authentic task of editing and also discerning errors in written passages. For example, on the picture, you can see there are some sentences, and then the test takers should read, and then after that, they should choose the letter of the underlined word that isn't correct. For example, number 1, the abrasively action of the wind wears away softer layers of rock. If the alphabet A is incorrect, they can choose A. Okay, next slide. Okay, it also has picture cue tasks. There are two methods. The first one is test takers read a sentence or passage and choose one of 4 pictures that is being described. In this part, the sentence is more complex. As you can see from the picture, multiple choice picture cued response. Test takers read a 3-paragraph passage, 1 sentence of which is during at least 3/4 of the year, the Arctic is frozen. So the test takers should choose which picture is related with the sentence. And then maybe they can choose C or B if they think it's correct. And then for the second method is test takers read a series of sentences or definitions, each describing a labeled part of a picture or diagram. The test takers identify each label item by reading the definition. As you can see, there are a picture of bike, and then there are also some blank space on each part, and then it also has some definition For example, from number 1 until number 6. And then when the test taker read those definitions, they can choose which one is the correct answer for the blank space above of the definition. Next. And then this is our last of selective task, gap filling task. The task taker's response is to write a word or phrase. An extension of simple gap filling task is to create sentence completion items where test takers read part of sentence and then complete it by writing a phrase. For example, sentence completion task. Oscar, doctor, what should I do if I get sick? And then the doctor gave his response by saying, you should drink as much water or vitamin or orange or something like that. And then the test taker can answer it with everything they want. And then the obvious disadvantage is its questionable assessment of reading ability. So that's all from our group. For the further information about assessing reading will be explained by another group from Brigitta's group. So that's all from us. Thank you.